When thinking about high-end DAC amps, you really have to think about the power source. Most DAC amps come with a toroidal power source which is embedded in the unit, but there are some which are powered by an external power supply. So today we are going to review the Keces P14 from the Pier series. This is a DC or direct current linear power supply or LPS. It is a stark contrast to the switching power supply typically employed by producers to skimp on the money. Now, Keces P14 is $1,749 in price. It has 4 zones in total, so there are 4 areas which can be independently powered on, and it has 2 VU meters at the front. Those VU meters look absolutely amazing. In fact, they are not VU meters, they are more like amp meters because they tell you the current amperage of each zone. The 2 amp meters are designed for zone 1 and zone 2, which have configurable voltages, because zone 3 and zone 4 are not configurable. You can actually turn a blue light on or off on both amp meters, but that is not quite as important as what P14 does to the sound. I just love how it looks like, so I like to spoil the review a bit with its design. When purchasing a linear power supply, you expect some kind of improvement in the sound, like that is why we are purchasing them. P14 has a double role in my listening setup, and first off, it is the linear power supply for death on listening M1, which is a high-end DAC amp, but which from the factory comes with a switching power supply, which is not that great when it comes to creating the sound for the listening M1. And secondly, it acts as a USB isolator. And not only does it remove ground noise, it is a full-blown purifier, and you can input the USB signal at the back of the P14 and also output the same signal but purified from the P14. Basically, you just plug in the USB cable and then you plug a USB cable in the Type A female port at the back. You can use a normal cable and then use a Type C cable. This is something I have tested and how I'm using the Death on listening M1. Actually, the Death on listening M1 is in the back, like right here. If you can see, I am touching its logo at the top, and it is currently connected to the P14, which is in that direction. It's a few centimeters away, but I couldn't get it in the shot because the entire monitor would have been there. Now it looks a bit better. I like this wallpaper a bit better. P14 can have huge impact on a DAC amp when it is used as a linear power supply and also as a USB ground isolator. What it does is that it improves the resolution, definition and clarity considerably. It is also recommended for usage in medical appliances where a very slight variation in the voltage or in the amperage or in current in general could be disastrous. So it has a very perfect ripple control, it has a very low voltage variation, and you can control the voltage of zone 1 and zone 2. For zone 1, you can have the voltage set between 5 volts and 12 volts, while on zone 2 you can have the voltage set between 12 volts and 24 volts. Death on listening M1 will require 24 volts. There are other appliances like speaker amplifiers which require 48 volts, but then you don't need the P14, although Keces may be working on ultra low noise power supply which can deliver a higher voltage. With P14, the trick is getting the right current to the right product, especially DAC amps. They are the most sensitive of devices when it comes to the correct current, and this is something that even the scientific community agrees on. It's not just something that audiophiles do to spite the scientific community. It's something that everyone agrees to. Because compared to cables and to other disputed subjects in the audiophile hobby, power supplies have a very strong scientific reason to improve the sound. This is because typically when you have a poor power supply, the supply that gets to the DAC is poor, and then the sound produced has variations which are undesirable. And high quality power supplies have always been used when you wanted to get a better definition and better clarity in the sound. But what P14 does has been quite amazing because it improves not just the actual noise level, which is much lower when using it, but also improves the resolution, clarity, and also the soundstage. Because typically the soundstage tends to be not dominated, but there is a bit of background noise which tends to dampen the amount of information that you're able to understand from the soundstage. If everything in audio is perceptive and subjective. Typically, when we get a higher noise floor, everything else is dampened by that noise floor, be it dynamics, soundstage level, or resolution, because you just can't focus on what you want properly. And using P14 will heavily improve the soundstage, the accuracy, and the clarity of the sound, everything that it connects to. But the biggest effect was with Death on Re-Listening M1, and this is because it is the most resolute DAC that I have, which uses an external power supply to begin with. I have also been able to use P14 to clean the USB input for other DAC amps, including HiFi and Serenade, where I used the P14 to clean the USB signal. But where the effect was noticeable, it was not quite as large when you can use it as a linear power supply for a DAC amp. That is where you really feel the improvement, like it's huge. And I was not expecting it to be that huge, because I have never experienced a high-end linear power supply before. I typically played with a lot of either high-quality switching linear power supplies, for example, what Burson does with their Supercharger series, which I did review. And the Supercharger can improve the sound, but not in the same manner that P14 does. P14 really improves the quality directly. It improves the quality of the sound, it improves the resolution, and it just makes the dynamic range better. Sound is more dynamic, more punchy, and more impactful. While with the Supercharger, you just get a more aggressive, more forward sound, which has more force, but not necessarily a much lower noise floor. P14 reduces the noise floor considerably. You just can hear that noise which was there before is not there anymore. It's like it really separates the noise from the music, and that's super impressive. At least to me, since this is one of my first reviews exploring high-end linear power supplies. I promise to try to do more, just because they are fun. I have had a good experience with it, and because I feel that you may want to know how you can improve your listening setup. Naturally, you should take into account that the most important step is getting the best headphones, speakers, or EMs that you can. This is the first step. Then get the best amplifier and the best DAC that you can. Those two are about equal. Typically the amplifier has more impact on the sound than the DAC, but anyways, get the best you can. Then we have to work on power tweaks, cables, and accessories. So Keces P14, while excellent, it enters the territory of being a secondary improvement to the sound. I first would recommend you to purchase both Keces S3, the DAC, but that one doesn't use P14, it has its own internal toroidal power supply, and then purchase Keces S300 Plus for your speakers if you have a speaker setup, because then you get a really quick bang for the buck. You really get a huge improvement in sound. And then you can use the P14 to refine the quality of another DAC, to refine what you already have. It can bring a nuanced improvement or a huge improvement depending on the DAC. And this brings us to the final idea. Some DACs are very sensitive to the quality of the power supply, while others really aren't that sensitive to the power supply. So try to experiment a bit, try to listen to it before purchasing if possible, but be sure that once you have a DAC which can be powered by it, you should feel a huge improvement in sound. I hope that I bring a huge improvement into your life, either by being entertaining or by providing good information to you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you like this video if you enjoyed the content. Also, please subscribe to Audiophile Heaven, and I hope you have a lovely week out there. I really invite you to watch one more video from me if you found the content to be interesting. Thank you so much, and we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye.